Just wanted to go through this video I just watched. It's kind of ridiculous. So let's look at the points that this guy makes.
Kentuckians have an extremely important choice to make in this Republican primary for the United States Senate. Rand Paul believes in policies that would damage America's national security. He opposes troop funding, would cut America's missile defense, opposes the Patriot Act, opposes the Department of...
Whoa, the Patriot Act? That's an act that's responsible for violating the privacy of millions of Americans because it allows the national government to listen in on people's phone calls and read their emails without a warrant. And there's some constitutional issues there. I mean, if you look at the Fourth Amendment, clearly there's some concerns.
Homeland Security.
The Department of Homeland Security, you want to talk about a wasteful department? I mean, those are the folks that brought you FEMA during Hurricane Katrina. It's incredibly inefficient. We spend billions of dollars every year, and it's just a giant bureaucracy. It's big government. True conservatives do not want bigger government.
Opposed the original invasion of Iraq that liberated 50 million people.
Iraq? You mean Iraq, not Iraq. Anyway, the invasion to Iraq was unconstitutional. I'd take my marching orders first and foremost from the Constitution, and there was no authorization of war. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution reads that the Congress shall have the power to declare war. That does not give the president the power to invade other countries. And so, first and foremost, we need to look at the Constitution. And second of all, there was Iraq was not a threat to our national security. I mean, I don't think we ever found Osama bin Laden in Iraq. Correct me if I'm wrong. Instead, it's just a giant nation-building mission that's cost thousands of American lives and hundreds of billions of dollars to our country has been spent in Iraq. So it's just ridiculous, the kind of foreign policy that we run here in the U.S.
In the name of freedom. Rand Paul's reckless foreign policy.
In the name of freedom. You say it's a war in the name of freedom. So by that, if you're a consistent person, you have to be for liberating everyone in Venezuela. You have to be for liberating everybody in North Korea. You have to be for toppling Iran. You have to be against the military dictatorship in Pakistan. And certainly you would be for liberating all the African countries too. So my question to you is, do we have enough troops to spread ourselves like that all over the world? Do we have the money when we're now $12 or $10 trillion in debt? I mean, and we run these huge $1 trillion budget deficits. Where are we going to get the money to pay for this? And we don't have the resources. And besides, it's unconstitutional and not in our nation's national security interest.
Would endanger America, even more so than radical liberal Democrats. On foreign policy, I have no doubt in my mind that Rand Paul is even farther to the left than the liberal Democrats. Luckily,
it's not liberal to be against unconstitutional wars. I mean, a true conservative, what a conservative is defined as being for smaller government, and yet you're advocating giant military spending. There's nothing conservative about waging war overseas, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And, pardon me. There's simply nothing conservative about the foreign policy you're advocating. It doesn't conserve money. It creates bigger government, and it's not conservative.
Kentuckians have a choice in this election. They have a candidate who stands up for them and who's made cutting spending a top priority and defending our country. Trey Grayson understands how Kentucky works. As Secretary of State, he's worked hard on behalf of good jobs and cutting spending for Kentucky. He'll be a leading voice against tax increases, against cap and trade, against shutting down Guantanamo, and against government-run health care.
Whoa, wait a sec, Mr. Conservative Talk, or so-called Conservative Talk. There's some concerns here with Mr. Grayson. I mean, this is a gentleman who admitted voting for Bill Clinton in '92. I mean, you've got a closet liberal here, and you're trying to tell me that he'll go against health care? I mean, this is someone who supported a liberal Democrat, Bill Clinton. This is a guy who does not have a conservative record, and not a true conservative, and a neoconservative.
And for jobs, for energy reform, for a stronger national defense, and for a brighter future for Americans.
If you're truly for a stronger national defense, you'd be in favor of bringing the troops home to defend our country. Where are Russia's troops? They're in Russia. Where are China's troops? They're in China. Where are our troops? They're spread out all over the world, and you're trying to tell me we're safer because of that? I don't think so.
That's why I'm urging all Kentuckians to support Trey Grayson so we can finally change Washington.
What? change Washington? What sort of change is Trey Grayson going to bring about? I mean, this is a man who's supported by the establishment politicians in Washington. He's not going to bring about any change. He represents the status quo and more of the same. If you want the true change candidate, you'd vote for Rand Paul, and that's clear. Trey Grayson is buddies with Mitch McConnell, and the AIG lobbyist has been fundraising for Trey. I mean, there's nothing that changes under Trey. It's more of the same. So if you like this, if you like the direction the country's headed in, if you support the national debt, the budget deficits, the interventionist foreign policy, and the absolute craziness that this country's involved with, then vote for Trey Grayson by all means. But if you want to move towards balanced budgets, reducing the debt, respecting civil liberties, respecting the Constitution, then Rand Paul's your man.